Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. I recently spent some time in hospital, one of the most traumatic and upsetting periods of my life. It was 5 days, but it seemed like 5 months. I was so upset by it that I'm taking legal action against the hospital. The problem is the NHS is massively under-resourced, hasn't got enough carers, far too many managers, the bureaucracy is stifling. Things get missed very easily. I fell through the cracks and I suffered horrendously. So given the problems, and especially the resourcing problems, where they have too many managers, not enough care staff, you wonder why the NHS deems it okay and acceptable to wank away over £1 million on wokery, LGBT courses, racial awareness courses, things like that, rather than using that money to pay for, 30, 40 nurses that would do far more good. But let's look at this article. So over £1 million spent on woke, LGBT and racial staff networks by the UK Health Service. Britain's socialised healthcare system has spent over £1 million on woke, LGBTQP+, and racial staff networks, despite persistent claims of underfunding and long waiting lists for patients. And even then, when you do get into hospital, they maltreat you. Research from the Taxpayers Alliance has found that some 493 staff networks are being funded by branches of the National Health Service throughout the country. The most prevalent networks are for LGBTQP issues, with 101 groups being funded by the taxpayer, followed by racial networks, of which there are at least 99. So what are they saying then? That gay people, non-white people are vulnerable and incapable of looking after themselves, or incapable of making life choices, and need to be in big gangs because they're so put upon? Hardly the case, is it? The networks have been found to have put tea and rainbow cake picnics for staff and sessions to discuss personal pronouns. In total, the time spent operating such networks, not including attending events, took up 108,000, nearly 109,000 staff hours over the past 3 years, and cost the taxpayer over £1 million. In reality, the cost is likely to be much higher, given that only 111 of the 230 NHS trusts responded to the Freedom of Information requests, so you'd be looking probably nearer £3 million. Explaining the purposes of such schemes, the North Middlesex University Hospital Trust said, "The principal purpose of such staff networks is to inform and support the Trust's aims, values and objectives, especially in the promotion of equality, diversity and inclusion." That's funny. In the management of staff and delivery of services. So you need a specific group for gay people, a specific group for black people and so on. You can't just have one group for all NHS workers. No. We have to have this. We have to do this. What is wrong with you? Are you saying it's inclusive? Oh, look, we're doing this for inclusivity. And yet you're excluding. Because I want to know where you're spending the money. Where's these groups for the straight people? Where's the money for these groups for white people? So where's the funding for the groups for the straight people? Where's the funding for the groups for the white people? Or is it just that you want to show your virtue points? It's £3 million, say, wanked away, not on patient care, but just so this group can be special and have their cake and biscuits and cups of tea. What about the other people who aren't gay, who aren't people of colour? Are they left to fend for themselves? They're not counted. They don't count. Well done, NHS. Very inclusive of you, blocking out a whole section of society because racism. You're racist and you're sexist. You're straight phobic and you're anti-white. That's the only conclusion that we can have from this. And if that's the case, why are we, as taxpayers, paying for you? Because if it was any group that said we're excluding black people and we're excluding gay people, taxpayer funding would be pulled immediately. But because you're excluding white people and straight people, that's allowable. I think it's disgusting. But anyway, the lead project researcher for the Taxpayers Alliance, Elliot Keck, said many of the networks are a questionable use of NHS time and taxpayers' money. Well, no shit, Sherlock. While Brits wait patiently for their appointments and operations, NHS middle managers are busy organising right-on lectures and social events. Health chiefs need to scale back some of these unnecessary woke networks. They need to scale back all of these unnecessary woke networks and use that money for patient care. That's the sole point of taxpayers paying money to the NHS. And if they're not getting their money's worth, then scrap the NHS and rebuild something else from the ground up and get rid of the woke wankerati, because they're destroying everything, and now they are costing people their lives. This lack of funding is directly killing people. But hey, so long as some little minority put upon group can have its cake and tea, that's great. Meanwhile, you're burying grandma. The funding and staff time going into these groups is symptomatic of the waste within the NHS. The Health Secretary should use it as an example of how existing funds can be spent more efficiently next time bosses ask for more. Yeah, the next time the NHS asks for a single penny more, you say, you've got plenty of money, you can wank away £3 million on piss-ups and cake. Off. Seriously. Taxpayers should not be funding this exclusionary set of groups. The revelation comes amid increasing warnings that the socialised healthcare system will face a humanitarian crisis in the winter months, with the NHS already experiencing long waiting times and a shortage of beds and staff. This week, the NHS called on the government to try to alleviate the energy crisis, warning that fuel poverty will force many to live in cold and wet conditions and others to skip meals due to the soaring cost of energy. And it's a rod for their own back. I won't go on, it's just carrying on more of the same. So look, here's a picture of the LGBTQP groups giving their particular brand of salute, which was very popular in Germany some 90 years ago, and they're a very similar kind of group in terms of their outlook. They do like that kind of imagery, don't they? One only has to look at all the flags going down when they had their gay pride thing. It looked like the Nuremberg rallies, and that also looks a little bit Nurembergy, doesn't it? Anyway, I shall finish there and come up before I get angry about them. I think this attitude from the NHS that gay people and people of colour are weak and inadequate is very, very patronising. Certainly the gay people I know and the people of colour, my black and Asian friends, they do not need to be patronised. They are strong. They are strong, strong-willed people. They lead normal, everyday lives. They are not in any way special. They're just individuals who are what they are. They are who they are. Nobody cares. So you have the NHS pandering to a woke ideology, but the people that they're actually pandering to don't really need it. And then they're also being exclusionary. Exclusionary to white people, exclusionary to straight people. It's hardly inclusive and fair, is it? And if you're not going to be inclusive and fair, why the hell are you doing it? One group would be enough. One group for all NHS workers, regardless of who you are, what sex you are, what your sexuality is, what colour skin you have. It shouldn't matter one jot. But it does to these NHS bosses who wank away £3 million better spent on patient care, on cakes and tea, for underprivileged groups, for people who are not capable of looking after themselves. Madness. It's madness. Anyway, if you like what you hear and see on the channel, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Ring the bell for notification of future outputs. Leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well. For heaven's sake, don't get ill. And goodbye.